Hello, it's Ranger Olivia here today, and welcome to the Parkland's Virtual Classroom. Today, we are going to talk about what plants need to survive and special things they have in order to survive in their environment. There are 5 main things plants need to survive. Do you know them? Plants need water, light, nutrients, air, and space to survive. Did you get them all? It's okay if you missed a few. We are going to go over all the things that the plants need to survive and how they get them in this video. The first thing plants need to survive is light. Plants usually get this light from the sun when they grow outside, but when plants live indoors, artificial growing lights are also used. Plants are what we call producers, which means they make their own food. They make their own food in a process called photosynthesis. They use light's energy to make a type of sugar called glucose that they use for food. Plants make glucose in tiny microscopic cells on the plant's leaves called chloroplasts. Each chloroplast contains a green pigment called chlorophyll. The chlorophyll is the part that takes in the sun's energy and also is the reason why leaves are green. Plants also need air to survive. The air that you breathe is made up of many different gases. The main ones are nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and water vapor. Using the energy from the sun, plants chemically combine carbon dioxide and water to create glucose and oxygen. Plants bring in air and put out air through small openings in their leaves called stomata. Just like humans, plants need water to survive as well. As you just learned, water is a main ingredient in photosynthesis, and without it, plants could not make their own food. The water that's in the soil gets sucked up by the plant's roots. It then travels through the plant's stem to get to the leaves, where the photosynthesis takes place. Too little water can cause a plant to wilt and dry up, while too much water can cause a plant's roots to get root rot and die. Plants need nutrients. Nutrients are substances that nourish the plant. Kind of like how humans take vitamins to get all the things that they need, plants need nutrients in order to grow properly. In particular, plants need nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. These are all nutrients found in the soil, and when dissolved with water, they are able to be absorbed through the plant's roots, just like water. However, some soils lack the proper nutrients for plants to grow, so sometimes humans step in with fertilizers. Fertilizers contain a mix of essential nutrients that are added to the soil so a plant can take them in. Lastly, one of the most important things plants need is space to grow. Plants' roots need space to spread out and absorb that water and nutrients we just talked about. Plants' leaves also need space so they can get enough access to the sun. If plants are growing too close together, they will have to compete with their neighbors in order to get all the things they need to survive. If they don't compete well enough, they might grow too weak to produce seeds, or they might even die. That's why it's so important that plants have space. Plants need water, air, light, space, and nutrients to grow. However, it's not that simple. If you've ever tried to grow a plant, you might have observed that different plants need different amounts of all the things that they need to grow, like sunlight and water. And this is because plants have adapted to living in very different environments. Plants can live pretty much anywhere. Some of them live completely in the water. Some of them live in deserts where there's not a lot of water at all. Some of them even live on other living things. Special features that plants have in order for them to survive in their environment is called an adaptation. And these adaptations help them get all they need to survive. Because these plants have adapted to living in very specific environments, it makes it hard for them to grow in a different environment. Which is why if you take a desert plant like a cactus, you might be watering that cactus every month. But if you take a plant that might live out here in the woods, you might water that plant every week. They need different amounts of water because of where they live. You may already know that most species of cacti live in deserts and that deserts are extremely hot and dry. Deserts might only have an inch of rainfall each year. For comparison, Kentucky usually gets 48 inches of rain each year, which means that if a cactus is to live in a desert, it better figure out special adaptations that help it conserve water. Cacti have thick stems that are covered in a waxy coating. This stem stores water, and the waxy coating is waterproof and helps keep the water in. Some cacti can store up to 5 tons of water in their stems when water is available. This is enough for it to survive many months without water. All plants give off water during photosynthesis in a process called transpiration. Transpiration happens in the leaves of the plant, the stomata, like we've talked about. But cacti have figured out how to keep water from escaping by growing a type of modified leaf like the spikes you see here. There's less area on the spikes, which reduces the loss of water during transpiration. Because cacti don't have regular leaves and instead have spikes, they carry out photosynthesis through their green skin. Some plants, like carnivorous plants, grow where the soil has little to no nutrients. Can you guess where they get their nutrients? You guessed it, they eat bugs in order to get their nutrients. Plants like Venus flytraps, pitcher plants, and these sundews have all adapted to eating bugs to get the nutrients they need to survive. They have a strong digestive system, which helps them break down complex things and turn them into nutrients. Different carnivorous plants have different ways of catching their prey. This is a pitcher plant. It has the normal green leaves that make photosynthesis happen, and it has different modified leaves in these pitchers. Let's look a little bit closer at the pitchers. So the pitcher part of the pitcher plant has 3 different parts that help it capture prey. The first part is this opening. The opening has nectar on it and it's going to draw in the bugs. The second part a pitcher has is its smooth inner surface. Now this one is dying, so I decided to cut it off the plant and I'm going to cut it open to show you that smooth inner surface. So that is the smooth inner surface you can see right here. And then lastly, it has a death pool of fluid at the end. So the bugs get down into the pitcher, they can't crawl back up or fly back up, and they eventually get stuck in this water that's actually more sticky than it looks. Some plants are parasitic, which means they take things from other plants to get what they need to survive, like mistletoe. You may have heard of mistletoe because it's a popular Christmas decoration. It keeps its green color into the winter season and has a long tradition of people kissing under it. But did you know that mistletoe doesn't grow in soil? Instead, it puts its roots into other trees and taps into their nutrients and water. That's right. They essentially steal from another plant to get what they need to survive. That's why we call it a parasite, because the relationship of the plants is one-sided. The mistletoe gets everything it needs, but provides nothing in return to the tree it lives off of. Mistletoe is really easy to spot in the winter. You can find it high up on trees, and it sticks out because it's a ball of green leaves on an otherwise leafless tree. Being a parasite is a unique adaptation itself, but another adaptation mistletoe has to make it successful is its berries. Birds will try to eat these white berries, especially in the winter when the food is scarce. However, they will soon realize that the outside of the berry is really sticky and not very appetizing, so they will try to scrape it off their beaks onto the surrounding branches. This act will easily and quickly spread the plant. Lastly, some plants have adapted to life completely in the water, like these water lilies. These water lilies have roots attached to the soil at the bottom of the pond. Their stem is long, thin, hollow, and flexible so that it can reach up to the top of the water. The leaves are broad and flat, which help them float on the water's surface. The leaves have a waxy coating like many other aquatic plants to prevent them from rotting. We've talked about the stomata, the small pores in the leaves that take in air. Can you guess where the stomata are on water lilies? If you guessed only on the top, you're right. Unlike regular leaves, water lilies only have stomata on the top of their leaves, where they are exposed to the air. If stomata were on the bottom of these leaves, they would be blocked by the water. I hope you enjoyed looking into just a small portion of the diverse life of plants. I hope you learned what they need to survive and how they will change or adapt in order to live in their unique environment. See you next time.